Hello, and welcome to my study. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Glad to have you back here with me today. And today we're going to be looking at a selection from the Fellowship of the Ring. As I said in the last video, I'm a lover of great literature, including Tolkien, as I'm sure many of you are. And yesterday was Hobbit Day, September the 22nd, which Tolkien tells us in the Fellowship was Bilbo and Frodo's birthday. But yesterday was also Sunday, so as a pastor, don't have a lot of free time on Sunday, so I couldn't really do anything yesterday, so I'm kind of making up for that today. And what we're going to be looking at from the Fellowship today is Bilbo's Song of Earendil that he tells in the Hall of Fire at Rivendell. And if you recall the situation, the company is at Rivendell. Frodo has just recovered from his wound that he received at Weathertop from the Witch King Angmar, and they held a feast in his honor. And they go into the Hall of Fire, and I love the Hall of Fire. I love the very idea of it, that you have this place that you can go where stories are told, songs are sung, poetry is recited, and it's just a place to go and enjoy that. Every home should have a place like that. I think that's fantastic. But as they go into the Hall of Fire, Frodo finds Bilbo there. Okay, so we kind of have this meeting of the hobbits there, and as Frodo is listening to the music that is being sung, he's kind of losing himself in it, and Tolkien has a very picturesque way of describing that. But he's kind of drawn out by a voice, and he hears this voice reciting this verse, and he realizes that it's Bilbo's voice, and Bilbo is making up his own poetry about Earendil the Mariner. Now, Earendil is one of the most famous figures in all of Middle-earth, and it was Earendil who went to Valinor to petition the Valar to help them in the struggle against Morgoth. And there's an interesting part in this chapter. The chapter that this occurs in is Many Meetings. Okay, if you want to look this up later. But Bilbo, he's kind of, the elves kind of tease him and talk about how, he has the cheek to make verse about Earendil in the house of Elrond. But the reason they say that is because Elrond is actually the son of Earendil and Elwing, Earendil's wife. And so here's the little hobbit who is making this poetry about this most famous figure in Middle-earth and in Elrond's house. I don't know. I find that kind of amusing. But in kind of studying up for this, I decided to kind of take a look into my copy of the Silmarillion, this illustrated copy that my wife got me actually as a gift. And there is an illustration of Earendil in his ship, Vingilot. And I wanted to share that illustration with you. If you can see that. The swan ship that bore him to the west of west and to the Undying Lands and to Valinor. And if you look at it closely enough, you can see him at the front with Elwing beside him, and he has the Silmaril affixed to his brow as it's shining out and kind of acting as a guide to Valinor. And there's a lot more we could say about that, but I recommend if you want to look into that, just read the Silmarillion. as I've done. Yes, I am a big nerd. Okay, but for today, we're going to go ahead and read uh, Bilbo's song of Earendil the Mariner. And before I start reading, I want you to listen to the cadence of this, because again, it's Bilbo's song, but it's Tolkien who wrote it, and it's beautiful. The cadence, the rhythm to the poetry, it almost sings off the page. So hopefully you enjoy this as I do, as I have, as I read this to you. So here we go. Bilbo's song of Earendil. Earendil was a mariner that tarried in Arvenian. He built a boat of timber felled in Nimbrethil to journey in. Her sails he wove of silver fair, of silver were her lanterns made. Her prow was fashioned like a swan, and light upon her banners laid. In panoply of ancient kings, in chained rings he armored him. His shining shield was scored with runes to ward all wounds and harm from him. His bow was made of dragon horn, his arrows shorn of ebony. Of silver was his habergeon, his scabbard of chalcedony. His sword of steel was valiant, of adamant his helmet tall, an eagle plume upon his crest, upon his breast an emerald. Beneath the moon and under star he wandered far from northern strands, bewildered on enchanted ways, beyond the days of mortal lands. From gnashing of the narrow ice where shadow lies on frozen hills. From nether heats and burning waste he turned in haste, and roving still on starless waters far astray, at last he came to night of naught, and passed. And never sight he saw of shining shore, nor light he sought. The winds of wrath came driving him, and blindly in the foam he fled from west to east, and errandless, unheralded he homeward sped. There, flying, Elwing came to him, and flame was in the darkness lit, more bright than light of diamond the fire upon her carcanet. The Silmaril she bound on him, and crowned him with the living light. And dauntless then with burning brow he turned his prow, and in the night from otherworld beyond the sea there strong and free a storm arose, a wind of power in Tarmanel. By paths that seldom mortal goes, his boat it bore with biting breath as might of death across the grey and long forsaken seas distressed. From east to west he passed away. Through evernight he back was borne on black and roaring waves that ran o'er leagues unlit and foundered shores that drowned before the days began. Until he heard on strands of pearl, where ends the world, the music long, wherever foaming billows roll the yellow gold and jewels wan. He saw the mountain silent rise, where twilight lies upon the knees of Valinor, and Eldamar beheld afar beyond the seas. A wanderer escaped from night, to haven white he came at last, to elven home the green and fair, where keen the air, where pale as glass beneath the hill of Ilmarin, a glimmer in a valley sheer, the lamplit towers of Tirion are mirrored on the shadow mere. He tarried there from errantry, and melodies they taught to him, and sages old him marvels told, and harps of gold they brought to him. They clothed him then in elven white, and 7 lights before him sent, as through the Calicurion to hidden land forlorn he went. He came unto the timeless halls, where shining fall the countless years, and endless reigns the elder king in Ilmarin on mountain sheer, and words unheard were spoken then of folk of men and elven kin. Beyond the world where visions showed forbid to those that dwell therein. A ship then new they built for him, of mithril and of elven glass, with shining prow. No shaven oar nor sail she bore on silver mast, The Silmaril, as lantern light and banner bright with living flame to gleam thereon, by Elbereth herself was set, who thither came and wings immortal made for him, and laid on him undying doom, to sail the shoreless skies and come behind the sun and light of moon. From Ever-Even's lofty hills, where softly silver fountains fall, his wings him bore, a wandering light, beyond the mighty mountain wall. From world's end then he turned away, and yearned again to find afar his home through shadows journeying. And burning as an island star on high above the mists he came, a distant flame before the sun, a wonder ere the waking dawn, where gray the Norland waters run. And over Middle Earth he passed, and heard at last the weeping sore of women and of elven maids in elder days and years of yore. But on him mighty doom was laid, till moon should fade, an orbed star to pass, and tarry never more on hither shores where mortals are. For ever still a herald on an errand that should never rest, to bear his shining lamp afar, the Flammifer of Westerness. And of course, in the story, Earendil literally becomes a star. And later on, when the company comes to Lothlorien, and they come to the Lady Galadriel, and Galadriel gives Frodo the vial of light, and she says that it's the light of Earendil. It is that light of the Silmaril trapped in that vial. And there's a lot more I could say about that, but that will do for today, I think. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that. I love that poetry. And so, just to let you know, I am planning, for now at least, to do 2 videos a week. And so the next video, I'm planning on going back to my Masterpieces of Religious Verse. We'll look at another poem in that, and that's kind of how I think we're going to structure that going forward. Is we're going to have a reading from Tolkien, Lewis, some other literature, and then the second one will do the poetry. So hopefully you'll look forward to that and enjoy that. And I just really hope you enjoy this time in the study with me. I really love reading into this and diving into it and sharing it with you. So may God bless you, and thank you for joining me.